Just picture this. It's the first day of the month. And before you even start sipping your coffee, you have notification that payments are coming in and you already have a baseline revenue coming in. That's exactly what we're talking about today, why recurring revenue is a game changer. And be sure to stick around till the end because I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can start building recurring revenue in your coaching consulting business this month. Welcome to this week's episode of the Best Damn Coach podcast. I hope you're having an amazing week. It's Amanda, and we're talking about what I think is a secret weapon to sanity, to financial freedom, to living the life and making the impact you want, and that is recurring revenue. I mean, for a moment, let's just picture this. It's the first day of the month, and before you've even had your coffee, your phone is pinging and you're getting little notifications of payments received or deposited, and you already have thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars guaranteed income before you even start the day or move into the month, and you haven't essentially lifted a finger yet in that month. And maybe this sounds too good to be true, but today I'm breaking down why I believe recurring revenue isn't just a nice to have. For me, it's absolutely essential. And I want to share with you a story about my daughter that is really relevant to today's conversation. But I want to ask you this because I think this puts in perspective too. Is how many months or how often do you start the month at zero, like $0, zero income? And you kind of have panic, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, if this is you, by the way, you're not alone. And so by the end of today's episode, I want to help you understand why recurring revenue is critical. And I'm going to give you some really tangible ways that you could do this that maybe help you think out of the box. And for me, this has been such a instrumental part of business growth, but also the security and the peace of mind that I know I really wanted from business. So my daughter, McKenna, she's 15. She came to Best Damn Coach Live. We hosted it in April. She came as my assistant. It was really important for me. My kids and really my husband don't really get to see me in my element. I'm in my office. Sometimes they can hear my voice. Very seldom do they get to hear me talk and teach. And that's okay because I'm mom and I'm wife at home. But when I'm here with all of you and when I'm on the stage with my clients or in retreats or whatever, it's it's almost like this alter ego. It's just like this passion and this thing come out, right? And so I wanted her to be there. I think she's amazing. I wanted her to meet my clients. I wanted them, her to meet them to meet her. I wanted her to be confident. I wanted her to take care of them. And what I didn't expect to happen was as I'm teaching all of these things, she's absorbing this. She has my iPad in the back and she's literally building an entire business based on some of the principles that I shared. And she's so excited after day one, Mom, I have this business idea. I want to start making bouquets. It comes super timely. It's prom season, graduation season, Mother's Day. And she's scripted out everything, different pricing points and how each bouquet size, number of flowers, cost, all of these amazing things. And so we go into day 2, she fleshes it out even more. So she's on fire for this after we come back. So she immediately takes action. She asks for permission. We set up a social media account on Instagram specifically. And she starts advertising and literally orders come in immediately for boutonnieres because boutonnieres are expensive. And we've bought boutonnieres for other events and some of them are quite poorly made. So and this might date me, but I don't know if you guys remember when I got boutonnieres and for homecomings and proms, they would always come with this big pin and you would stick your finger or the boy when you were putting it in their lapel. And so when we bought a recent boutonniere, they were magnetic now. She's like, we're only doing magnet ones. She had this vision and she wanted to execute it. And so it was super cool to see people immediately bought boutonnieres, bouquets for prom. Then Mother's Day rolled around and Easter, more bouquets were ordered. People were gifting them. We kind of began to figure out where we could source flowers. She wraps them in this beautiful paper. It was going so amazing. And then things started to slow down. And she was like, okay, it's summer, it's hot in Arizona. It's like going to be 115 consistently. Like flowers, it's harder. There's less occasion. And she happened to be, we were over at a friend's house for a celebration. There was lots of families there. And, we were talking about her whole business. And one of the husbands said, hey, is it possible that I could pay you like every month and you would deliver a bouquet of fresh flowers without me having to think about it to my wife? Like you would just surprise her with a fresh bouquet, something different every month. And it was like light bulbs went on. And she was like, I'd love to do that. And so then the other husband's like, count me in. The other husband was like, count me in. So before we left that evening, she had 5 husbands that were willing to pay her to set up a subscription style bouquet delivery, obviously within a 5-mile radius of our house because she doesn't drive. I am the driver, or my husband is the driver, one of us. And she said to me, Mom, I now, and she's charging roughly $50 or $60 per bouquet delivered, and which is still way less than some of the like flower deliveries online. And quite frankly, hers are more beautiful and they're custom. They're made with love. And she said, Mom, I now know that I will have a baseline income of $250 plus till the end of the year, because these husbands all just said, can we pay you for the rest of the year? Which, I mean, how lucky is she to be in that position? And they all kind of influenced each other. And I said, honey, this is the gift of recurring revenue. She's like, it feels so good. And from this business, what I've taught her to do is how to track her expenses and create a P&L. We know exactly her margins. I've taught her how to calculate her margins off of each bouquet so she knows how much she wants to spend, how much to price things. It's been just such a cool learning experience. But for her, as she's coming up to driving, she's going to be paying for gas. The financial security, the stability, the peace of mind to know that each month isn't starting from zero, that there is a baseline that she is bringing in is so effective. It's so amazing. And now she can begin to market that service more. If she had 10 clients, that she does, and the cool thing is she can batch the flowers, we can make them and I'll deliver them at the same time. It is just so cool. So if she's 15 and can listen to this business, launch this business, figure things out, it is 1,000,000% possible for you. And that is why I want to talk about the critical baseline of recurring revenue, because it's been so important for me. And so I want to talk about this emotional roller coaster that I think we sometimes feel when it comes to our business. It's like one month you're celebrating because it's the highest cash month you've had. You're sharing, treating yourself, like all these things, indulging. And then the next month it's like 2 a.m. You're like, where's the clients? Oh my gosh. And you're doing kind of like this mental math to figure out like what's coming in and what isn't. And this isn't about money for me. What I find is this is about like nervous system. And I want to go a little deep into Psych 101. I took Psych 101 my freshman year of college. And it's where I learned about Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs, right? And if you're familiar with it, you can go Google it. But essentially at the bottom, like our most basic needs, like food, shelter, water, need met. And above that really is kind of security. And that to me in our world comes from the financial security of paying our bills, having a roof over our head, which includes shelter, right? All of these things, foods, grocery. And so sometimes in our business, if those things aren't being met, especially if maybe you're the breadwinner or you left a job and now you're on this hunt to replace the income, maybe you prematurely left a job, which is often sometimes where I see people. I am such an advocate for like the slow shifting of income from the 9 to 5 into the coaching business. It's really hard to transcend into those upper level of hierarchy of needs like confidence, self-fulfillment, self-awareness, and actualization. Because if you're like, oh crap, I gotta make money, then that's your focus. Your nervous system is frantic about doing that. And so when your income is unpredictable, your brain stays in this constant fight or flight mode, and you can't make these really critical long-term decisions because what you're doing is you're so focused on the here and the now, quick cash, that you can't get your head out to see the long term. And I have so been here. And it's so easy to keep saying yes to the wrong clients, yes to the cash, yes to the opportunities, because you're like, I freaking need to make the money. But to be honest, like in the end, that's really challenging to grow long term. And so I remember one of my early months of business, it was like I had a 12K month, and the next month it was down to 3K. I was like, what am I doing wrong? I was crying in the car to Justin. And what I realized is that I was kind of setting myself up for my own failure about not being effective in the way I was communicating my needs around financial security and to my clients. And so for me, this conversation isn't about having millions in the bank. It's just about knowing what you have next month and knowing that if you're starting from 3,000 or 5,000 or whatever your baseline is, you're already locked in and everything is gravy on top of that, right? Because when you know that, you can make better business decisions. You can invest in your growth because you know there's some money there. You can say no to clients who aren't a good fit, and you can plan ahead to like get out of your business, take a break. And I think this is really, really key. And so what I really want you to do, so I'm going to give some tangibles as we move in, is if you could pause potentially right now this episode, and I would love for you to just ask yourself baseline, what do you need to make? If you are married and you've agreed on what your contributions are, or you're going to pay your mortgage, or you're going to have X, like, is it your mortgage? Is it the kids' care? Is it groceries? Like, what do you need to make? Because here's one thing that I know from many people is you sit in this crazy place mentally if the amount you're telling yourself you want to make is your need. And so, for me, I only pay myself the need amount. Justin and I have established what I need to make. So I know that on months that are lower versus months that are higher, like, oh, good, I'm good still. Like, I'm good. The need to make is the baseline. This is actually what we're working on currently in the BDC, is understanding our expenses, tracking our profit and losses, and understanding that this inflation sometimes that happens in our mind because we had a really big month, then we have a really small month, are not actually true. So I would really encourage you after this episode or right now to just be present with the exact dollar amount that you need to make. And so how do we shift into this recurring revenue that keeps this safety? Well, if you don't have this at all, then there's going to be some different places to start. If you're already bringing in some recurring revenue and you want to grow more, obviously there is an opportunity here. I'm going to share some tangibles. But what I want you to think about is if you have this baseline, then every new client, everything is going to stack on top of that. And that is going to be where, for me, it's kind of like this compound effect, if you will. When you add a new one-time client, right, you get paid once. That's so great. When you add a recurring client, you get paid every month. They stay. You have a contract, an obligation. Those are all beautiful things. If they pay you hourly, you're insecure. You don't know, or you're not insecure, but the financial security isn't there. So I am really inviting you, if you are charging hourly, to shift and understand that there is a better, more effective way. And it's actually better for you, but it's also better for the client. You mutually have skin in the game, and it creates this transformational experience rather than this one and done, which really isn't what your client needs after all. But here is this other piece of recurring revenue, is when you have a long-term relationship with a client, they also become such an amazing two things: referral source and renewal source. And I'm going to talk about how we do this in the BDC specifically. So what I want to do is talk about ways to build in more of this recurring revenue that maybe that you're seeking. So strategy one is actually kind of what I alluded to that McKenna does. It's this membership or subscription model. So it's when they come in, they pay maybe more of a low ticket, $97 to $297 or something like this, for ongoing support, monthly calls, or access to a private community, or access to your content. And maybe there's some sort of group coaching component of it. And this membership model, though, in my brain, is also, it has a high churn rate, which means that presented as a membership, that presupposes they can cancel at any time. And hopefully you have language. I'm going to talk about contracts in a little bit that has, requires a 30-day advance notice or something like this. I don't love the subscription model because for me personally, it still has a high turnover and attrition, right? I want security, but for many businesses, this works really well. If you want a great reference, Robert Strobe, I'll link the episode into my show notes. He wrote a book called The Retention Point, and it talks about this kind of model and how to increase the renewals and retention that you have in a subscription model. But it's a great way because think of it. If you know you have 10 clients that are paying, let's say $100, then your baseline is $1,000 already. And so assuming we keep those 10 and we add to it, that's only going to grow month to month. And so that's a beautiful baseline that exists. Another strategy option where you can increase recurring revenue is more of that retainer model or the one-to-one model. So in this model, you would have clients paying you monthly for your services. Sometimes you can incentivize a pay in full amount that's slightly cheaper. I know a lot of coaches that don't even offer that. It's just a monthly rate. So let's say they pay you $500 a month and they agree to a 6-month or a 1-year contract or 3 months or 6 months or whatever you decide. But what this does is it guarantees that retention, right? And they're going to be paying you that number of dollars. So okay, sweet. I just signed Susie on for a year. So my baseline, she's paying me $500 a month. So at least I know that when I wake up on the first of the month, I have $500 of income. Everything else is going up. So if I could add 2 to 3 clients this month and they're also paying me, then my baseline would go up to $2,000 that month. And so then we build on that. And so, that's kind of like a higher touch, higher value. And it's a beautiful way. That's essentially how, we built my first business was based on this model. And when I do one-to-one work, I still do this. I also have multiple corporate contracts that are in a retainer model. I freaking love that. I love working with them, but I know just these corporate clients each month bring in a 5-figure revenue for me. And so when I wake up, that's like just based on my corporate clients, that is my baseline for just them, not including my other recurring revenue. So then I can peacefully say, okay, my expenses are already covered by these contracts. How can I get more of those contracts if that feels aligned? And the last strategy, this is kind of the course and community or the coaching and community opportunity where they buy or opt into your signature course or your signature experience, and they pay monthly for the implementation support and community access. So this is actually how we design the Best Damn Coach. It is not a membership at all. It is a year-long community where they're buying into all of my learnings, which is the course content. But what I think is really the highest value is me coaching them every month in our office hours and the content that I deliver every month, the 24/7 support in the community. And so coaches pay monthly for this. They can also pay in full for the year, which we do honor a discount around, but coaches pay monthly for this. And so I know if I have 40 coaches in there and let's say 30 of them are paying a monthly subscription, then I know that, okay, 30 of them times whatever that price is, that is my baseline recurring revenue. So again, at the beginning of the month, I know here's our baseline and here is what's going up. My other programs like the Framework Builder Lab and the Small Buy Offer, those are not recurring. They pay and it's one and done. I deliver on the 6 weeks, but there is no recurring. We actually stopped payments in that because nobody used them. Nobody even opted for the payments. Everybody just paid in full because of the pricing difference. So that was beautiful. And so those are kind of like 3 different models. Now, the thing about all of these models that I just want to emphasize is they all have clear contracts that are supporting them. So when you sign on to any one of these 3 things, my clients understand and are checking the boxes in our contract that say, this is the obligation, this is what you're paying for, this is how it's delivered. And so I am not a lawyer. But I'll link also to Christy Westerfeld's episode here, who is our lawyer and helps us with all our contract stuff. We like to make sure our contracts are dialed in and support us so that it's mutually beneficial for myself and the client. And then what I love about this last model is, again, this goes back to the baseline of what I do. I want to over deliver the heck. I want to create relationships with my people. I want to build their success. I want to support them along their journey. And so what's also very cool about the last method, and actually the second, is it just opens the doors for such a high renewal rate. And we want people to continue inside the BDC. We want to grow with them. And so it's very easy for you to transition and again, have more recurring revenue. And depending on how you work, recurring revenue, if it's a continual client in years 2 or 3, we actually slightly reduce the price after a year of investment in our community. We like to acknowledge that loyalty. You don't have to do that. That's just something for us. And so the key to this is I don't want you to think about this as selling. Think about what does your client need, this ongoing support? And that's for me where your recurring revenue lies and that safety. So in months like the summer, let's say you're going to be gone for 2 months and you are, really just wanting to take a breath and take some space, which is necessary and critical for all of us. That my baseline is $3,000 or $10,000 or $25,000. And if you had no clients added this month, then that would still be your baseline. And that is just the greatest gift and peace of mind in business for me that I feel like I could have ever been given. So I know some of you might be thinking okay, my clients don't want to pay monthly or they can't afford pump the brakes. That is a whole nother conversation. You should go back and listen to the scarcity episode I recently recorded. I believe that's incorrect. Your clients want ongoing support, right? They're afraid it won't work for them. They're terrified to be left alone after they buy from you because they may have had poor experiences. And I actually often believe that monthly support is more enticing because it creates skin in the game. So for instance, I just invested this year. I just finished my last payment because I started payments back in October. And I actually opted for the monthly payment plan because I like seeing it come out and being skin in the game, show up. And so I didn't opt to pay in full. And so I think there's a lot of our clients and students who love that. And so that's just one thing. Or if you feel here's another objection, I don't want to be tied down to serving the same people every month. Your people need you to show up for them every month. And if you can create continuity in that, you're going to see their results deepen and their support deepen, but more important, your rapport deepen and their love for you and their appreciation deepen, which leads to more referrals and renewals. When they become your billboard because they've had such transformation with you, that is important and key for all of you. And at the end of the day, what you have to understand too is recurring clients, I think, become your easiest clients if you have really great communication and they need less hand-holding over time. And there may be people who cancel or want to cancel. This is why contracts are important and setting very clear coaching containers up, whether it's 90 days, 6 months, or a year. That communication up front is critical. We don't have money issues inside our business. I'm not chasing people for money because we clearly create agreements up front. We have clear communication. People know exactly what it is. And so it's just very easy for us. And I want that exact same thing for you. So your homework, go calculate your monthly expenses, everything, your rent, your software, your groceries, all the things in your business. And then also what is the baseline of contribution that you need to give to your family? And decide what your recurring revenue goal could potentially be. Think about what that could be. And that is a great way because sometimes we set these arbitrary goals. I want to make 10,000. I'm why 10,000? Do you know? I think setting these baby goals is even more effective. I'll share the story of one of my clients. Her first goal was her need to make was around $1,500, which was her kids' preschool tuition. And that became our first target. And so it was how do we do this? Right? And then you're going to choose the recurring revenue model that I mentioned that really excites you. Plan it out. What do you want it to look like? Well, how would you deliver it? Is it different than what you're doing now? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just that you're not clearly communicating it, right? Test it. Maybe you need to transition a few students, current clients into it. Maybe they're past clients that you can serve in this new model. And at the end of the day, this is why I'm here. If you want help building this out, this is what we're doing inside Best Damn Coach. I would love to support you. The community is literally built around helping coaches create this kind of sustainable, profitable business, not just this thing that you decided to show up and do that you're half-assing. But if you choose not to work with me or not, I just want you to do this work. That's ultimately what is most important to you. And your future self is going to thank you so much because you're going to have this peace of mind. So this is where I really want to leave you. If every month you start with 0, you're choosing uncertainty over stability. And that's like stress over peace and survival over growth. And I just think you deserve better than that. Your family deserves better than that. You deserve this peace. For me, recurring revenue isn't a strategy. It's just like how a great business is run. And I want you to start building yours today. So if I can support you with that, I would love to. A great place to start is just to book a call. Let's chat. I can hear more about your business. You can head on over to amanda-walker.com/let's chat, LETSCHAT. Go to my show notes to grab that. Send me a DM over at A Walk My Way if this episode hit you. And what I would be super honored about is if you would just share this with another coach or service provider or consultant that you think would really, really benefit. I would be so, so grateful. And if my 15-year-old daughter is starting to get it and understands it, I know that you are going to have success and can also nail it too. And I'd love to be a part of supporting you. So until next time, go coach them up. I'll see you next week.